Dude, yeah, I mean, before that, like, none of my tweets even got 100,000 likes. Like, even 100,000 is, like, really, really crazy, right?
Yeah.
So, I don't know, man. I woke up and I was watching the SpaceX launch, and I just saw them, like, just piecing out, leaving the planet, and then I instantly thought of how shitty this world is right now. And I was just like, man, I just thought of like a little tweet, and I almost ruined it because I have a habit of like droning on too much, and I was just like, man, I almost like typed like 3 paragraphs, so I ended up like, all right, I gotta shorten this. It'll be sweeter if it's short and sweet, So yeah, I mean, I thought it was pretty good. I wasn't like thinking I was gonna get some crazy ass thing where it's like it's the 3rd most popular tweet in history now. As soon as the IRL section came out, I was on Twitch like for 2 years as a hobby. I didn't talk to my chat that much. I didn't really have a sub badge graphics. I didn't give a fuck. I just kind of like I was like, you know what? This is a fun hobby. I found out about it. I think my account is from like 2013 maybe.
Okay.
And then finally when the IRL came out, I went from playing a video game to full screen camera, trying stuff out. And I went from like 200 viewers to like 1,200 viewers in like one day of doing full screen content. Because the thing is, and I try to encourage other creators, if you're kind of more of like a personality streamer who kind of puts yourself out there, when you're just, your head's in the game like this, and you're like, hey, what's up? It's not really showing you. You're kind of, there's like a disconnect, right?
Right.
Then you go full camera and you start talking to people and fucking around and making jokes and stuff, and people are like, oh, this is what I'm here for. I don't give a fuck about that game with your little video box.
Right.
Unless you're like a great pro player, they want to come there for you. So as soon as I started doing full camera video and actually, sorry, my sleep schedule's off. I've been going to bed at like 8 a.m.
Oh, good.
I started going around doing phone streams, like IRL streams, and it just took off. And this was at a time when I was kind of starting to revamp my YouTube, and then I was just like, oh, this is clearly the wave right now.
Good.
When Twitch started taking off, I started going full forward. And then about 2 months later, like 3 months later, the Adpocalypse happened. That just fucked over so many creators on YouTube. And even now to this day, a lot of creators, they like bleep themselves out and censor themselves because they won't get paid anything. They went from getting paid like, $50K a month to like some of them like, 10% of that or 1% of that, depending on how vulgar their content is.
Could you explain a bit about that? Because I'm aware of that, but I don't really understand the full. Is that because they basically a lot of videos had to be censored or ads cut because of like the violent, crazy nature of some stuff? They didn't want to have a Coca-Cola ad on someone doing crazy, inappropriate stuff, and it was sort of the Wild West before. Is that the gist of it, where it like cleared out a lot of the ads?
Yeah, there was some controversy of like really fucked up, like racist videos, homophobic videos, and just they didn't really have a monitor to see if it was like always Coca-Cola and then some like Nazi speak, you know what I mean? Like, so
that's what I understood it as. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So I think it was just kind of like the straw that broke the camel's back. And then, as soon as like some big companies pulled out and they're like, hey man, you're running a Coca-Cola ad in front of this. Get your shit together for now. Peace out, bitches. And They left. And then a bunch of big brands followed suit. So, that's the stream of money that's paying the creators, right? It's always advertisers. When Jimmy Kimmel first discovered my video, I was kind of like, I thought it was like a spam email. I didn't really know what was up. So it was kind of a case-by-case thing, right? They're like, we're thinking about flying you out to perform the song live. I was like, okay. And then they're like, right now we're not going to fly you out. We just want a release form so we can play the video on air. I'm like, okay. I signed the release form. I heard back a couple days later. They're like, hey, we found another video that we liked. And they were scouring my website, or it was actually my friend Brian Lynch's website, they were scouring it for other videos that I made. And they found other videos that they liked.
Right.
So then they were like, okay, we like the one where you did the fake accents. We like the one you did where that was like Peanut Butter Boy. And so they just kept sending me release forms to play my videos on the air. And then it was really exciting. I was like on TV. I was like showing my parents and stuff. I was like, holy shit. But then after a while, they were like, we found a video where you're in a blizzard in New York and you're holding your camera up to people and asking them why they're in a blizzard. And the whole joke was I was in the blizzard too. I'm like, why are you out here in a blizzard? But I mean, I clearly was out there too with a camera. Right. But nobody even caught up on that. And they were like, why are you out here? Well, actually, one person did. So they're like, yeah, I just got to get my coffee. I'm like, you're risking your life for coffee? They're like, yeah, I need a coffee.
What year? So, that's in the 90s, or no? Was it like
this was like probably like year 2000 maybe.
Okay.
So they're like, we like that video, but you're holding the camera, so you're actually not on camera. We're thinking about hiring you to be a travel correspondent, but we need you on video. So they encouraged me to go make another video where I talk to people on the street, but this time I'm on camera. So my friend Brian, who's actually now he's a big screenwriter. He did Life of Pets and Minions. He's super successful, really nice dude. He came out with me to New York City and he held the camera this time, where I just started fucking with people, freestyle rapping in the street. I fed some lady a chicken wing. I hand fed her, just fucking around, trying to make some cool content. And so, I edited it down to like 10 minutes. I mailed them the tape. They're like, we love it. We're hiring you. Your first mission is to go to Panama City, Florida in spring break and fuck with the spring breakers. So that became like a thing that happened for over like a few months, where go here. This is your mission. They sent out a director and all that stuff. So I was a traveling correspondent. And then eventually they're like, come to LA and we're going to have you do a bit at the Weenie Roast. It's like a radio show, like event. And then we're going to have you live in studio for the first time on the couch with a Jimmy Kimmel interview. So I did that. And then that went well. And then they're like, hey, yeah, we're doing guest announcers. Right now we want you to be our guest announcer for a week. They're putting me up at a hotel. And they're like, after that week, they're like, we're going to need you for another week. And they're like, we're going to need you for another week.
So how are they paying you? Are they like giving you contracts on each one of these things? Is this just sort of
it's like one-off contracts.
Okay.
And then they're like, you've been out here for a month now. We can't keep paying your hotel bill. We just need you to get a lease out here. I was like, okay. I came out here on like a fucking 1-week trip. Now you're just like on a 1-week trip. I ended up signing a 1-year lease in LA. And then,
where were you living before? It was New York? Is where you
I was living in New York. Yeah. Okay. I was working on IT, at an accounting firm doing IT stuff.
Okay.
So, they had me sign a lease. And Jimmy told me during this time, like within the first 6 months, he goes, listen, your videos that you put out, he goes, they're really original and they're really funny. Eventually, I think we could turn this into a thing based on your comedy. For now, keep doing what you're doing. I'm going to send you on these things, on these correspondent things and stuff like that. But eventually we could talk about this thing. So about a year goes by, and then one of his partners from Jack Hole left Jimmy Kimmel Live. And during that time, right when that happened, Kimmel hit me up and was like, now's the time. We're going to try to do your show. Because now we have one of my producers who's free, who doesn't have a job right now, and he can spearhead the Andy Milonakis show if we get picked up. So he brought in Tony DeSanto, who's a longtime friend of Kimmel. And Tony DeSanto at MTV was just saying, like, to Jimmy all the time, yo, let's do a show, let's do a project, let's do a project. And Jimmy, for years, never had anything for him. And all of a sudden, he calls up Tony DeSanto and he goes, I got something. We went in a meeting. He showed them all my shit. They liked it. They said, let's do a pilot. We did a TV pilot. Months later, they had this big thing where MTV reviews like tons of pilots all together at a retreat.
Right.
And mine was shot kind of in the beginning, so we had to wait like a long time to get word. Finally, Kimmel called me and he goes, I got Tony DeSanto on the line. And I was like, oh my God, is this, I guess, good news? Because he has more people on the line. And they told me it got picked up for a whole season, and that like totally changed everything. Yeah, the first time I got recognized, I had a panic attack. Well, it wasn't the first time I got recognized. I went into a club and I got mobbed by people. And I never even knew what a panic attack felt like. All of a sudden, there was a mob of people around me. I couldn't breathe. And I ran into a corner and like just sat down, and I was like, fuck, man. Holy shit.
Do you remember what club that was? And what, this was in like 04 or 05 or something like that?
Oh, man. I don't fucking remember.
Changes. Those things turn over
Those
a
things
lot.
change, yeah.
Either way,
maybe Concord or something. I don't know.
You get recognized. You kind of, and it's always like funny like that. People, you kind of work. It's like, it's nice to get recognized a bit or get acknowledged, but you know, at some point it just happens fast, right? If you get to that level, now it's like kind of a little bit weird, right? It's like you don't really know how you're supposed to handle it.
It's funny because I was doing Jimmy Kimmel Live for like a year, and I never felt that like you're a famous dude. Like, oh my God, that's Andy from Jimmy Kimmel. I'd get recognized a little bit here and there. But when you're on a 3-minute segment in like an hour show, it's kind of like, did I see that guy somewhere? But then now, like, it turns into my own show with my name and shit like that. And they, you know, MTV just relentlessly puts on ads for your show. It's like commercial. Actually, quick story I could tell you that's kind of funny. It kind of shows you Hollywood, right? Mm-hmm. Before my show even came out, I was sitting down at this club, and this girl started like flirting with me and stuff. And I was like, okay, you know, whatever. And she's like, I gotta go talk to my friend. I'll be right back. And like, just like 5 minutes after I started talking to her, she goes, I'll be right back. And she like kissed me on the lips and walked away. And I'm like, huh? Okay. And then and then she comes back, sits down, starts talking to me again. She goes, I saw a commercial for your new show. You know, I do comedy. I would be a really good co-host and shit like that. I'm like, oh God, here we go. Even before my fucking show launches, the fucking leeches are out.
Like, they were coming for it. She was looking for a assigned spot as the co-host, nonetheless. Not even like not a cameo. She wanted to be
yeah. That just kind of shows you like Hollywood in a nutshell, climbers and stuff like that.